Hi. When a neuroscientist suggests ways for me to decrease my risk of getting Alzheimer's, I listen with wide open ears. Hi, my name is Pam Lamp, and I write a blog called Who I Met Today. On the blog, I interview people from all walks of life who do interesting things that I'd like to learn more about and share. I'd love for you to follow along. Typically, I write a post for 60andMe about books that I've read. Today, I'm going to feature a neuroscientist who I interviewed for one of my blog posts, but I thought the information that she gave me was so important that it was something that should be shared on 60andMe. Dr. Jeanette Norton retired from Vanderbilt University in Nashville, Tennessee after 40 years. She researched nerve regeneration for 20 of those years and taught medical school for 20 more. She's a lovely lady that I happened across when I was taking a lifelong learning class, and she agreed to sit down and talk with me about Alzheimer's and the different ways that we can reduce our risk. Early onset Alzheimer's typically strikes people before the age of 65. It's genetically transmitted, runs in families, and accounts for about 5% of the Alzheimer's cases worldwide. Late onset Alzheimer's is the version of the disease that affects people when they're 80, 85, idiopathic, don't know how it forms, but we can do things that decrease our risk from getting that form of the disease. Unfortunately, for those that are afflicted with the early onset version, no amount of lifestyle change will do any good for that. So I know we've all heard and seen the lists of what you can do to hopefully ward off Alzheimer's or do your part to ward off Alzheimer's. But I hope in this story, and I won't go into as much detail in the video as in the written portion, but I hope it gives you just a little bit more information than you may have already read. For instance, the first factor that we can do to control our risk of getting Alzheimer's is to exercise. We've all heard that. But what I wanted to know is, what does that mean? Do I have to sweat profusely for exercise to count? And Jeanette says, no, you absolutely don't. What we want to avoid is sitting. Any kind of movement works. Household, gardening, yoga, walking to the grocery store, walking through the mall. The number one requirement is just to get your body moving. Diet, we've all heard that. Eat fruits, vegetables, nuts, grains, all the healthy things. Avoid fats and starches and red meat. But what I didn't know, and something that Jeanette does, is after she eats dinner at night, that's it, until the morning. Not one more piece of food goes in her mouth. And if you're like me, I eat my dinner, and then every time I walk by the pantry the rest of the evening, I grab a pretzel or a bite of this or a bite of that. Maybe you don't do that, but that's my habit. And she said, that's not a good habit. She said periodic fasting, 8 to 10 hours with no food in your mouth, is really good for your body. She said it helps control weight, regulate blood sugar, and promote cognitive health. So since I talked with her, that's what I'm trying to do. Sleep. Jeanette sleeps about 9 hours a night, and that's a lot for most people. I think I'm more like 7 or 8 hours. But she said that in the middle of the night, the sanitation engineers, my word, not hers, come in and clean our brain. And if we aren't getting a deep sleep, the byproducts from the metabolism of the brain aren't removed. And the sanitation crew can't do their job. And that plays a role in the buildup of plaque and gunk between neurons on the brain, which ultimately leads to Alzheimer's disease. Social connections. She said this is very important. Even a social connection, like 60andMe is great. She said we don't have to actually live geographically close to the people that we connect with, but we do need to have some sort of a bond. So that was motivating to me to get out there and meet more people and develop deeper relationships. And then mental challenges was the last factor that she talked about. sitting and playing solitaire doesn't cut it. She said many crossword puzzles don't cut it. For a crossword puzzle to be a mental challenge, we really have to be working at it. She said, if you can solve 85% of the crossword puzzle without really trying and doing research, it doesn't count. You always hear learn new languages. She said, yes, you could do that, or you could work on the language that you already know. Memorize new vocabulary words every day. Sitting and watching a movie is not mentally challenging. Reading a book is often not mentally challenging. She said what is mentally challenging is if you watch a movie, read a book, and then it's your responsibility to summarize the plot, the characters, and present the story or a discussion to a movie group or a book group. That's mentally challenging. I liked her example of what she does, other than the fact that she's writing a book about effective teaching. There's more of that in my article. But she said an example she gave me, she read Fascism, A Warning by Madeleine Albright not too long ago. And she said she had a basic understanding of fascism in Germany and Italy, but she didn't know how it had affected some of the Eastern European countries. So she said she took knowledge that she had, she read a book that helped her build on that knowledge. And she said that is the best way to challenge yourself mentally and help ward off Alzheimer's, is to build on what you already know. Don't go out and take a class in something so technical that your brain shuts off, but something, learn how to sew a new item or knit a harder article of clothing, that sorts of things. So those are the factors, and I've got some work to do. But like I said, when a neuroscientist tells me to do something, hopefully I'm listening and putting those ideas into motion. So I hope you read the story. I hope you comment on it and give other 60andMe community members some suggestions for what we can all do. And I hope you check out my blog and learn something from the people that you meet there. Thanks very much.